Hello, my amazing Gemini. It is Haley with Tarot from Beyond, here to provide you with your September 2018 general reading. I notice now that every month the divine sticks to a specific topic, and this month's topic is very deep, and it will change your life if you actually really understand and listen to what the universe is telling you, okay? So please listen closely, and I really ask that most of you are able to resonate with this, because literally, if you were playing the lottery, given what we are discussing this month, you would have hit the jackpot. You pulled the card Self out of a deck called Dreams of a Gaia Tarot, and I use them as oracle cards because they are so deep and so in depth. And this card basically states that you are now becoming a true individual. I mean, you are now stepping away from the status quo. You know, society goes a long way to try to indoctrinate us with what is right and what is wrong and what is beautiful and what is not. You know, what's right and what's wrong and what's normal and what's not. And this card is asking you to ask yourself, you know, who were you? Who are you? And who do you want to be? And in order for you to be able to answer those questions, Gemini, you must first know who you are. And so what I've been talking to all zodiacs about this month is about the law of attraction, polarization, and creativity, so that we can actually create the lives that we want for ourselves. This card represents the free thinker, the one who says, you know what, I'm willing to go out of the status quo. I am willing to be different. I've always felt different, and I am now brave enough to step out of society's expectations of me. I am no longer going to the beat of the drum of others. I am now going to be following my own path. And when you do that, you know what you do? You attract other people who think the same way, who are following their own authentic path. See, the funny thing about society is that we're always being encouraged to be authentic, but the moment that you actually become authentic and innovative and different, then what happens is society has a tendency to fear you and then scrutinize you. And some people have even been imprisoned and faced lots of condemnation by being different and being a free thinker. And Gemini, with the energy this month, you have all of the ability in the world to become the free thinker that you've always wanted to be, and you don't need to have any fears associated with stepping out of the status quo. This card asks you not to follow the rules of others and not to be rigid in your thinking, and to allow yourself to be the different, unique individual that you are. Because like I said, don't forget, society has gone a long way through media, religious organizations, educational institutions, and everything to try to define who we ought to be and what is normal. Because normal is acceptable. But what is normal? Right? What is normal? That's what you're being asked to ask yourself. See, there's a part of yourself that you're more familiar with, and that's the part of yourself that has to get up and go to work to make sure that you can make sure you eat and make sure you feed your children if you have them, It's the part of yourself that you're more familiar with because it's the part of yourself that you can identify with the most. However, this month we're talking about integrating our physical being with our higher selves. And in doing so, we become so familiar with ourselves that we know how to respond positively to the negative situations that go on around us. We're learning that through really knowing our higher selves, we know how to manage our internal responses to negative situations to create the specific outcomes that we want. And you guys pulled the self. This is a major arcana in this deck, which means for some of you are teeter-tottering and saying, man, I know I'm different. I've always been different. And, I have all of these ideas, but I don't want people to think I'm crazy. And I don't want people to think this. And I don't want people to think that. But you know what? Now your higher self and the divine are telling you, now is the time for you to step out of that box and allow yourself to be the real you that you are. You don't have to go to the beat of the drum of others. Don't follow other people's path. Don't say yes just because other people expect you to say yes. Say no when you want to. Be who you are. Be your authentic self. That's what this card is saying, Gemini. So given that most of you usually don't see me shuffle, what I will do is cut the cards so that you know nothing is rigged, as this reading is going to resonate with all of you. I ask that with tonight's full moon that you guys set your intentions on what it is that you want in your life, okay? Because your oracle card asks you to ask yourself, who were you, who are you, and who do you want to be? And in order to be able to answer those questions, you first must know who you are. And you are a paradoxical individual that makes you a whole person. You're not just a physical being. You are a physical being with a soul. And of course, naturally, we have spent more time with the physical part of ourself because that's the part of ourself that we're more familiar with. And given that that's the part of ourself that we've given the most care and attention to, that's the part of ourself that we understand the most. And anything outside of that, we don't understand much of. But now it's time for us to go deeper and go into our subconscious and be able to speak with our subconscious just like I'm speaking to you right now. So if there's no other intentions that you set with the energy of tonight's full moon on August 26th, you have until the 28th to continue to set your intentions on what it is that you would like. And speak as though you already have it. Use the words I am and I have as if it's already here. I don't care if you write down 100 things or one thing, but if it's one thing that you should write down is that you are able to speak to your own higher self, just as I'm speaking to you now, because that is how you'll be able to answer the questions. Who were you? Who are you? And who do you want to be? Because you can be whoever you want to be, and you can live the life that you want to live. So let's go into some of your stories and let's talk about it. As I pull your cards, nice. Ace of Wands, Three of Wands, Ace of Pentacles. Wow, Gemini. The Two of Cups, the Moon, and the Three of Cups. And I'm telling you, this time the Three of Cups in this situation does not mean third-party situations. It means celebration. Gemini, like I said, if we were at a casino, you'd be walking out the door with $1 billion. I'm telling you right now, you guys are in a beautiful place. To the Gemini that I'm speaking to, you're going to understand what it is that I'll be teaching through this reading. First and foremost, you are being given a new beginning with regards to work. And you have to think deeper with regards to the words that are being used. This doesn't necessarily mean work in terms of like a job. This means a new beginning with the way that you work with yourself, the way that your brain works, the way that you work. The Three of Wands is telling me that you guys have made the decision, a lot of you guys have made the decision to walk away from trivial things that don't matter anymore. You're walking away from things that no longer serve you because you have better things to do. The Ace of Pentacles represents that the universe is handing you the opportunity to make as much money as you want to make. You need to plant that seed of abundance and take care of it and watch it grow into a lush forest. The Two of Cups this time, based on what I'm feeling, is that even though there are some unknowns as to what the future holds for you, I do see that there's a spiritual union that is likely coming your way, and it's time to celebrate. Or it could mean that you are in a spiritual union with someone that's lying to you and having third-party situations, and you've walked away from them. Whichever this means to some of you Gemini, as like I said on many readings, imagine, let's say 1,000 of you watch this. How would I be able to identify all 1,000 of your unique situations? That would require a private reading, wouldn't it? But let's keep it more general. You know, this is a really beautiful reading, and I have to just sit and kind of look at it for a second and bask in it, because I know for a fact that you guys are going to get the concept that I'm getting ready to explain. First and foremost, whatever you're experiencing externally is what's going on internally. What's going on internally is going to manifest externally. So everything that you experience on the outside is what you're internalizing. And sometimes when we don't spend enough time with the part of ourselves that's less identifiable, so to speak, our higher selves, because it's more quiet and it's silent, according to the human understanding, yet it tries to communicate with us all the time, because we don't really understand that our soul is really our thoughts and feelings. Our soul is our thoughts and feelings, our intuition. And when you actually sit and listen to yourself think, that's when you start to strengthen your relationship with your own self to a way to where the choices that you make lead you directly to where you want to go in life. So first, I'd like to explain the magnet example, because I think it's a very great way to help you understand the process of creation and how you can create the life that you want. Okay? The positive ion and the negative ion by themselves are just that. That one positive ion is just a positive ion by itself, and then a negative ion by itself is just that. But when you put them together, it creates something entirely new. It creates a magnet, correct? So it takes two polar opposites to create something. So for you Gemini who are experiencing negative things in your life, the key is to respond positively to those things. And when you know yourself inside and out, and you know your higher self, which by the way is not a linear process, it's not an overnight process to learn how to know who you are. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes a conscious effort on a daily basis to listen to yourself, because we've been indoctrinated throughout the course of our lives. You know, through the process of the schools that we went to and the religious aspects that we were exposed to, and through media and through what we were taught is right and what's wrong and what the rules ought to be and this and that. Those things make us more rigid and less flexible towards change and toward the actual truth, which is that we are energetic beings. Just like the concept of the magnet, it's the energy of the positive and negative ion that creates something entirely new. Excuse me. So in order to create the life that you want, Gemini, you must first know yourself. You must first know who you are inside and out. You must practice listening to yourself, your wants and your desires, and ask yourself, are these wants and desires of mine at this point, are they trivial, or are they really profound desires that will actually change my life? What kind of questions am I asking the divine for? What type of questions am I asking myself? What am I requiring of myself? If you set no intentions other than the one to be able to know your higher self just as much as you know your mother or father, and you want to know your higher self even more so, the better relationship that you have with yourself, the more meticulous you are with the positive responses that you provide to the negative external factors that you may be facing. And then the more specific you are with your positive response, the more specific the creation, the more specific the result. So I'll give you an example. When you really first start to practice this in your day-to-day life, what's going to happen is this. For some of you in relationships, as a matter of fact, we all have relationships, whether it be in a spiritual union or with our family or with our coworkers. When someone does something negative, you're going to start practicing responding positively. Let it be any random positive response. If it's a random positive response with no real thought behind what type of positive response it will only neutralize the situation. Okay? It will create neutrality. And that neutrality won't change anything. It will not make any situations any better or any worse. It will make them the same. Everything will stay the same. But once you become methodical and meticulous about the positive responses that you provide toward the negative external factors that some of you may be facing, the more specific the creation, the more specific the outcome that you created with your positive response. That's how you create the life that you want. Please understand, whatever you are internalizing is what you will manifest. That is the law of attraction. For example, if you love yourself, you're going to attract people who love you as well. If you are authentic, you will attract people who are also authentic. If you trust yourself, you'll attract people who trust you and who are trustworthy. Whatever you believe that you are capable of becomes a rule that you have imposed on yourself, a positive rule that you are a limitless being capable of anything and everything that you have ever thought of being able to produce and to create in your life. It's possible because you're a limitless being. And there are no limitations. We've been taught that there are limitations and all of these rules and this and that and that and this. And then what it does is it creates a cluster in our minds of how things are supposed to be. Do you realize how those things can impose on your ability to create? All of those rules that we place on ourselves, they make us so rigid so that we don't even consider the fact that we are limitless beings that are capable of anything and everything that we've ever wanted to do or be. When we don't value ourselves, we will often find ourselves in relationships with people who also do not value us. That's the law of attraction. If you say, you know what? I don't know how to value myself, then guess what? You've just told the universe, send me more situations that present me with an opportunity to further perpetuate the feeling that I'm not worthy and that I deserve to be cheated on. Some of you Gemini are in situations or are in relationships with a spiritual, you're having a spiritual union with someone who's straight up lying to you and having third parties. And spirit's advising you to walk away because you've got better things to do. And if you don't believe that you can actually really work differently and that you actually have all of the potential in the world to create the type of income that you want, as long as you express virtue and as long as you display value and have ethical practices in everything that you do, the universe is going to support everything that you pursue. But we tell ourselves on a regular basis, I can't do this, I can't do that. We restrict ourselves all the time, and then what happens? We attract it to ourselves. So when you tell yourself that you're not worthy of being in a relationship with someone who doesn't lie to you, then that's what you're going to attract, people who lie to you. When you tell yourself, you know what, I'm enslaved by love, so therefore, it's cool to be in a relationship with someone who's got problems and imposes them on me and hurts me. And when you accept those matters and when you accept those things from people, you're basically saying to the universe, send me more situations that are similar to that because I'm okay with it. But when you turn your back on situations like that and say, oh, no, I am worth more, guess what? You attract people who identify your worth. See, a lot of us know how to love other people a lot more than we know how to love ourselves. Because loving ourselves is a process. Loving ourselves takes time and practice. We know how to love other people despite their shitty behavior. But then when it comes to loving ourselves, despite our imperfections, we don't know how to do that. Excuse me. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Whatever you're going through on the inside, whatever you're feeling on the inside, is going to manifest on the outside. You're going to see it on the outside. Whatever's going on the outside is a reflection of what you got going on the inside. So how many of you Gemini are telling yourself that you're not worthy of a better relationship than this? Than someone who is supposed to understand that relationship only consists of two people, not three. You don't have to share your partner with another. Intimate relationships such as this are sacred, especially when you become, intimate with them. And when you don't deem yourself as a sacred individual who should be respected as such, you're going to attract people who don't treat you like the sacred individual that you are. That's the law of attraction. And I already taught you how to create by using the example of the magnet. That is exactly how it works in life. We are all energy, and we are no different than the magnet, so to speak. We are a creation of our own, right? The polar opposite of love is fear. When you love something, you fear losing it. And when that's balanced, everything is okay and it's all right. But when it's not, what can happen? Sometimes fear can take over and you don't want to lose who you love. So then what happens? And sometimes you can become possessive and you can become jealous if your partner doesn't answer their phone one time for whatever reason. And then your mind begins to run wild because of past experiences that you've had with other people. And you've walked into this relationship with the baggage of the last relationship, and you imposed rules and, on yourself and on this other person, due to the experiences that you've had in the past. So they've got baggage from past relationships. You've got baggage from past relationships. And now here come two people together with all this baggage. And then now what? See, understand that when you get into relationships with people, or even when you interact with other people, if they respond negatively, it's going to invoke a response from you. And that response is either going to be positive or negative. And if you respond negatively to people who are negative and situations that are negative, it further perpetuates a negative experience in your life. But if you respond positively to negative situations and you do it meticulously, then you are now able to manifest and create specific outcomes with regards to whatever you're experiencing externally. And this is all a part of restructuring our way of thinking so that we can create the lives that we want. Make sure that you love yourself so that you attract people who love you. Make sure that you know that you're worthy so that you only attract people who will value you because they see your worth. Make sure that you believe that these are really being offered to you. And these are not just some pictures on a desk. Believe it and know that it's already yours. And you can plant these seeds wherever you want. That means the door is open to whatever you want with regards to work and how to make the kind of money that you want to make. For those of you whom this resonated with, I ask that you hit like and subscribe and leave your comments. And for those of you who would like to go into your personal lives and get a private reading, I recommend that you do so. Because not only will you get clarity, you will also walk away with a plan. I am a spiritual counselor and I am also a teacher. And I teach through tarot because I have to know a little bit about you to know what you need to be taught. So with that being said, Gemini, remember the concept that your oracle card is letting you know now is the time. Now is the time for you to be that free thinker. You know, the one who steps out of the box, the one who says, I don't care what you think is beautiful or what you think is right or wrong. This is what I think. And as a result, this is the direction I'm going in. A lot of you are getting ready to walk into a very independent space. And I think that it's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful transition. So please, with the energy of this Pisces full moon, write down in a book that has never been used, in a journal that has never been used with pen, as it sets the intention that whatever intentions you set are permanent and non-erasable. Don't use pencil. Just put your right hand over it and say, this is my book where I set my intentions on the full moon. And the reason why you do that is so that you can look back at what you wrote last month and look at how many things came into fruition based on what you wrote down on paper with your intentions. So again, if this resonated with any of you, hit like and subscribe, leave your comments. And for those of you who feel as though your external factors are starting to get out of hand and that you feel that you need guidance, know that that is exactly what I'm here for. That is my gift and my job, and I enjoy using it. So with that being said, my wonderful Gemini, I ask that you be kind to yourself so that you can attract others who are kind to you. Namaste.